Well, good afternoon, everybody. Today we have with us Karen Finan, who is the President and CEO of the Northern Kentucky Regional Alliance. Karen, thanks for meeting with me today.
Great to be here, Judge. Looking forward to our conversation.
Absolutely. The Regional Alliance has been around a few years now, but many people probably are not aware of what the Regional Alliance really does. But before we get into that, you are its founding leader. And maybe you could share with us a bit about who is Karen Finan and what's your background, Karen?
Well, my background comes primarily from commercial real estate. I spent quite a bit of time with Duke Realty Corporation, kind of traveling the world, if you will. So I have a sense for the real estate side of things, always looking for the build, the new, et cetera. So a little bit of nonprofit as well. And then came to Triad a few years ago and did a stint there. Went back into private sector, and then from there was asked to lead the Regional Alliance, which I accepted with great excitement.
Well, and you've been in this role now for, I guess, about 4 years.
Yes.
And then, so for those who don't know what the Northern Kentucky Regional Alliance is all about, update us on that.
So this is a group of very passionate regional leaders, presidents and CEOs of companies from Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati who have great passion for our community and want to impact transformative change. As you said, we've been in existence we're going into our 4th year now. And we're excited about what's to come, but we're also excited about what's been accomplished over the last several years.
That's a great point. And you've got a board who contributes, and we can talk more about how the inner workings of the organization work, but some of the exciting work that you've kind of marked down as accomplishments so far. So take us through some of those efforts and the accomplishments.
Well, since our beginnings, we looked for projects, initiatives, bold goals that would lend to transformation in Northern Kentucky. And we looked at 4 categories. What did we need to do in health, education, job growth, community vibrancy? And we spoke to a number of different organizations, projects, et cetera. And with board consensus, we would identify projects and basically go out and implement them. Some of the successes clearly were working through other organizations like the Chamber. Their GROW program has been very instrumental on the workforce front. We were able to substantially help to launch that effort strategically and financially. Riverfront Commons, an 11.2-mile hiking, biking, walking trail that has been directed by South Bank and Jack Moreland. We were able to help raise $1.2 million to get phase 1 of the Army Corps of Engineers program going, and so that is starting to become a reality. Under the education side, the Ignite Institute, which of course was an initiative of Toyota, they came to us and we surrounded it strategically and financially, and we were one of several who helped to launch that. None of those initiatives we own, but we were able to heavily support organizations without duplicating services. As we look toward other pieces, the health aspect has been a strong interest of the Regional Alliance. What can we do to create a better health atmosphere in Northern Kentucky? And we participated in a smoke cessation effort over the past 2 years in Covington and Gallatin County, which actually caused a 2% tobacco reduction in both those areas.
That's great. Well, one of the things that you have behind you in your background is a house. So tell us about the project there.
Yeah, and very excited. Behind me is a rendering of 1 NKY Frankfort. And this was put together through the generosity of St. Elizabeth and other member organizations. And it is actually facilitated by the Regional Alliance. We have 10 sponsors who help make this a reality, but the house is a central spot for people in Northern Kentucky to come to Frankfort. It is literally within walking distance to the state capitol. So during the course when the session is being held or there's a need to be in Frankfort, people can come to the house, they can hold meetings, events, etc. We opened it in January of this year, and of course the pandemic hit. So we're very much looking forward to reopening and strategizing how to best leverage this asset.
So many people who aren't involved in dealing with Frankfort, they would think, well, why do you need a location? But in reality, many other organizations and communities, I guess, have been known to have a place in Frankfort that can make it easy for legislators and I guess administrative staff to meet with them. Is that the case?
Well, you see a lot of trade associations doing that, but we are the first municipality in Kentucky to actually have this strong of a presence. When you come into the house, the Behringer Crawford Museum graciously has donated local artwork that really speaks to the culture of Northern Kentucky. And so when you walk into the house, it becomes a narrative of who we are as a community. And so as you hold meetings there, you can convey who we are, the needs, etc. So this has been something first year that has met with great success, and we look to embellish it as we move forward.
Well, and I think that people appreciate our great legislative caucus who works tirelessly on behalf of Northern Kentucky, but this is a way for everyone else to also connect with what needs to be done in Northern Kentucky as well.
Absolutely. We talk a lot about one voice. You know, how do we get our message out in Northern Kentucky? We're part of the great Cincinnati region, but we have a standalone message. We have standalone funding needs. Our audience is in Frankfort as well as the region. So if we are not present in the region, if we don't articulate our needs and our message in a common narrative, it gets lost. This is a physical way to pull everybody together.
So let's talk about the bigger picture of the Regional Alliance, funding and capital expenditures. How much of your effort is being funded by the government and the like?
You know, we are privately funded. Around the table, our operating budget is funded by participating board members. Garen Colvin of St. Elizabeth is our chair. He just came in as new chair this year, starting July 1st. Kay Geiger of PNC Bank has held that position for the last several years. But we are surrounded by presidents and CEOs of leading organizations who really want to see things happen. So our operating budget is funded through membership, but different initiatives are also funded through foundations, grants, etc. Interact for Health, etc. is big in the health field, and so they help fund some initiatives there. The Truist Foundation has helped us on several different fronts as well.
And I emphasize that question for that reason, obviously, to note that this is essentially a privately funded effort and has been since its inception. So the great work that's being done is not funneled through the government funding. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
So look out to the future. You've been, as busy as ever during this pandemic. Your board continues to work and connect with elected officials like myself. But what's on the horizon for the rest of 2020 and into 2021?
So we are very busy. I mean, I think there's a lot of things now that as we look out toward the future, there's a lot of folks that have taken a pause and a reflection on not necessarily what we do, but how we do it. Mm-hmm. And so looking through a lens of inclusiveness, looking through maybe a different viewpoint has been very important to the organization. The leaders around the table are running their organizations, facing the same challenges, seeing the same challenges in their organization and the community. So how we extend that into our community, how we accomplish different goals is important to our board. There have been a number of visioning processes, since the early 80s for Northern Kentucky, and many of them have been incredibly successful. This organization is made up of the folks who help to fund those initiatives. And as they look toward the future, what do we want to look like 10, 20, 50 years from now? What can we leave for the future leaders of this community? It becomes critically important to take on the more complex issues, the challenges and the projects that maybe no one else wants to touch. And I think it's very important that we work very strategically with the other growth organizations in Northern Kentucky.
Well, and I think that's a great point. Maybe we can wrap up on that topic is the issue of we've got a lot of organizations doing a lot of good work. And you pointed out the fact that you may not own an issue or an initiative, but you will help push it forward or help really make sure it comes to fruition. Do you see any overlap with what you're doing at the Regional Alliance with other agencies now that you've been in this role for a number of years?
I think that's a great question. I mean, that is something we totally avoid in terms of duplicative services. We're all about shared services, shared governance. And one of the things that we've looked at, in addition to this 1NKY Frankfort building, which is our initiative, we're looking at a building that would house all the growth organizations under one roof. And we've actually taken that to the point where we have shared services through a business service agreement. And we're looking in other areas where the Chamber, Triad, Meet NKY, Horizon Fund, Catalytic, South Bank, the Regional Alliance can all share back office services to help run our businesses more efficiently. Aligning our strategies for the good of the community has also become incredibly important as we look toward the future and identify what really matters in our community. How can we take Northern Kentucky to the next level of growth?
Well, I think you've stated very well, and I would point out one acknowledgement that you work on this effort of one voice. We're surely glad that you're leading the daily charge to make that happen, and we appreciate the board's work. And even though sometimes you may not ever get credit for the impact, the part of that you're playing, I know I surely appreciate it. And if there was one thing more that you'd wish that the community would know about the Regional Alliance moving forward, what would it be?
You know, I think the fact that we are looking toward the future, we are looking toward a better Northern Kentucky, you know, for the good of the community. And so from our standpoint, being able to make an impact for our children, our grandchildren, you know, as we look back 50 years, what have we left? You know, how have we left this community for the next generation of leaders?
Well, again, well said, Karen. Thanks so much for your leadership there and your hard work. And again, pass on our appreciation to your board as well.
Well, absolutely. Thank you, Judge.